Welcome to the Ship Room, where we learn from tech leaders at some of the world's most successful companies. I'm Brad Anderson. I'm the Vice President of Microsoft 365. Welcome to the Ship Room. Today I'm joined by the Chief Cybersecurity Officer for Siemens USA, Kurt John. Siemens has had operations in the US for 160 years. Today there's 50,000 employees, and it's all up to you to protect all those people, devices, and IP.
Good to be with you, Brad.
You were recently listed in Security Magazine as one of the most influential people in the security industry. So thank you for finding the time to meet with us today on the Ship Room. You think about the move to the cloud that has been happening for the last decade, that's just really accelerating now. What's your perspective on how using the cloud and the intelligence that comes from the cloud, how can that help you better defend the assets that you're responsible for?
I think cloud is
inevitable.
It's just way too cost effective. You can scale quickly. What I'm most excited about is some of the really innovative security features that cloud providers are offering. Now, not all cloud providers are created equal. So I think it's really important that for the people who want to utilize that resource, they need to be really diligent and intentional in checking to make sure that cloud offerings really give you three things. Flexibility, of course, that's mostly a business decision to be able to scale and reduce as much as you need to in order to manage costs. Control, you need to be able to exercise the right amount of security controls within the environment. And then the final thing you need is visibility. You really want to be sure that you have your eyes on everything that's happening in the cloud, so at any time if you need to adjust, either because of business conditions or because of some type of threat from an adversary, you're able to do that.
Hey, it looks like there's something going on with Teams here. Are we getting a call?
Hey, Brad Anderson. Oh, from that thing with the baboons at the United Nations Summit, you know. I am a huge fan.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Wait, what's today? Never mind, that hasn't happened yet. I am Dr. Brown, Dr. Takina Brown, and unlike my brother, who is time-hopping in a stainless steel hatchback, I'm dancing up and down the space-time continuum for purely scientific reasons. Siemens basically leads the world in patent filings at a rate of, 33 per day. That's a grand total of 65,000. See, I am going to go over some important patent filings, and then you tell me if those exist in this timeline, or if I have to go some time else to find them.
Sounds good.
Patent number 20060207518A1. It's a machine that will pet your dog for you while playing a recording of your voice telling it a very good boy.
Seeing as how much people love their pets, I'm gonna go with real.
Patent number 256265 is an alarm clock that wakes you up by dropping a pile of corks on your face. Anyone get the cork alarm?
I'm gonna go with false.
That's an actual one. Right on the face. Patent number 4605000A, very important. It's a greenhouse helmet that allows you to breathe fresh air directly from plants wherever you go.
It's crazy that I have to think about that one for a second. Let's go with false.
Patent number 7627935. A doll with a compartment for an urn containing the ashes of a loved one, which also plays back a recorded message from the deceased.
I suppose if I said yes on the pet patting, I probably should say yes on that, so let's go with yes.
That's a real one, but it is a bit of a bummer. I'll give you that.
Wow.
Patent number 1138TK421. A spin-torque oscillator with anti-parallel coupled ferromagnetic layers, magnetic dampening, and a 1.21 gigawatt capacitor.
That sounds like the patent for the DeLorean, so I'm gonna say false.
Well, I can tell by your computer technology you probably don't have that one quite yet. Well, I think I'm about 6 timelines off course. But before I go, just one last question. There's always a great conversation between the CIO and the CISO and the people operating the business units about how to store data, on-prem versus cloud. Now, how do you make decisions about where data should go, and what do you need both places to do better? That's it. Bye!
I'll start with the latter. What we need in both places is an ability to extend what's on the enterprise into the cloud, and then from the cloud's perspective to be able to push information back to the enterprise. What we want to do is make the relationship between the enterprise and the cloud as seamless as possible. And what's most important, how well does that cloud provider deploy security controls, and how comfortable does it make me so that if I were to encounter some type of threat or adversary, I can wrap my hands around it through good protection mechanisms, through good detective mechanisms, and through good reporting.
I was curious to get your perspective on the diversity of attacks and tactics that you have to be protecting from. How important is diversity in your team in ensuring that you can protect Siemens?
It's a really good question. I have two answers there. I think the one answer I think you'll hear from most CISOs is that diversity in the team immediately skyrockets creativity. So you have a team that's both, physically and cognitively, mentally diverse. It's just wonders what they can accomplish together. But the other part of diversity, which is really important to me, it's social equity. Even before the pandemic hit, we heard numbers like 3.2 million unfilled cyber positions. The toll that this pandemic has had on unemployment. And so for an industry like cyber, where we're also having such drastic needs or such critical needs to fill, positions to fill, I think it's really an opportunity for us to actually contribute to social equity. There's so many people who have historically not had access to certain economic opportunities, or they're socioeconomically disadvantaged. And so for us to take what is a critical need and to be able to fill that need while also contributing to social equity, I think it's a real opportunity, and it would be a shame if we can't grab hold of it and leverage it.
Kurt, you have a black belt in Taekwondo. It's just one of the many things that I'm sure you have in common with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm going to read you a series of quotes, and I'd like you to tell me if the quote is from your fellow martial arts expert or from the greatest Star Trek captain, Jean-Luc Picard. When I walk across my living room from my chimney to my window, it takes me 10 seconds, but for a bird, it takes 1 second, and for oxygen, 0 seconds.
Wow, that's deep. With Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Things are only impossible until they are not.
Jean-Luc?
All right, a cookie has no soul, it's just a cookie. But before it was milk and eggs. And in eggs, there's the potential for life.
Let's go with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Is it possible to commit no mistakes and still lose?
The answer to that is yes, but as to who said it, Jean-Luc?
One of the things I read in an interview that you did where you talked about how you mentor students from a number of different universities. Can you tell us a little about that mentoring and maybe advice for mentors and mentees?
There's a myth that to be in cyber requires you to be incredibly technical. That's just not the case. Find a discipline that intersects with cyber. It could be anything from cyber policy, international relations, all the way through to your traditional technical roles. Don't limit your thinking. Cyber is only as big as you can, make it. Now, for mentees, maybe this is advice for myself from where I first started out. You really want to remember what it was like to be 21, 22, 23, just out of college, the world's your oyster, and you really have that get up and go attitude. You really got to view these people as just a bundle of cosmic opportunity. And I have this thing that I say where the world gets a little bit brighter every time we connect someone with an opportunity. The reason I'm doing this is actually for my daughters. So when it's all said and done, I'd love for them to be able to be in a world that is a little bit brighter because they have access to a whole bunch of possibilities.
You talk about the Charter of Trust. Can you tell us about it?
So the Charter of Trust is a collection of companies, very large companies, who I would contend have some really good influence on our society. And so what they've agreed to do, they've come together and they've identified 10 principles. The goal is to build up some strength behind these principles and also to make sure that we keep everyone protected.
As you've looked at Microsoft 365, I just would love to hear, your perspectives on things that we are doing that you find interesting in management and security and cyber.
One thing that I do appreciate about Microsoft, and it's something that I think security needs to nail, it's being as transparent as possible. So what you want is to remove the complexity on the front end around security, orchestrate the back end, but this is so that users can just focus on what it is they need to do and not have to be the critical component between a breach and not having a breach. So I appreciate the variety of ways that Microsoft has enabled organizations, or the flexibility to engage with security in a way that best fits their needs, so that employees and users can focus on actually developing and delivering value to their customers.
While we've been talking, our very own ShipRoom AI has been analyzing our conversation and has actually come up with the 12 most relevant questions based upon our discussion. We call it the Database Dozen. All right, Siemens is involved in a lot of heavy industry. So I'm curious, are you forklift certified?
I'm not, but I can drive one.
What is the best color of a starburst, and why is it pink? Which is more likely to exist, Bigfoot, Dracula, or the Loch Ness Monster?
I would say Bigfoot.
What was the first concert you ever went to?
It was UB40.
Could spiders conquer the Earth if they just all work together?
Oh, for sure. Especially if I'm the team that's supposed to fight them. I'm out.
So what makes a piano grand and not just great?
Probably its size.
What's the better 80s franchise? Back to the Future, RoboCop, or Pizza Hut?
Back to the Future.
I brought chips and dip to a potluck. Am I crafty or just lazy?
A little bit of both.
All right, well, thanks for hanging out with us in the ShipRoom, Kurt. Now, before we go, if people want to learn more about you and what you're doing at Siemens, where would they go?
They can go to LinkedIn at Kurt M. John, or they can go to Twitter at The Real Kurt John.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm Brad Anderson. This is the ShipRoom. We'll see you next time.
Where is the lens? Is it right at the top of the...
It's right in the middle.
Oh, look at this.